Hello and Merry Christmas from Vintage Disney here on Brian's Things That Are Cool. It's time once again to... A while back we looked at the Halloween episodes of every 90s kid's favorite programming block, and now we're going to do the same for Christmas. This is the... As with my look at the Halloween episodes, not every show on the Disney afternoon had a Christmas episode. DuckTales did eventually get a Christmas episode, but that was from the 2017 reboot. I was sad Chip and Dale didn't, because I'm always down to watch that. And one of these days I should just do a whole episode on the Gummy Bears. But the good news is that in my hunt for obscure Christmas specials from the 90s, I was able to watch a couple of shows that for whatever reason I didn't watch at the time. Let's look at our first Christmas episode, which comes to us from TaleSpin, Jolly Molly Christmas, which aired on December 20th, 1990. In what was the first Christmas episode produced by Disney Television Animation, the owner of a plane delivery service, Hire for Hire, Rebecca, voiced by Sally Struthers, is seen telling her daughter Molly about how much she would love to have snow for Christmas, knowing it never snows in their city, Cape Suzette. This gives Molly the idea to write an emergency letter to Santa, asking him to make it snow, just as she drops her candy cane to the floor, breaking it into pieces. Baloo, trying to comfort her, tells her to put the broken pieces under her pillow for the Peppermint Fairy, and she'll get a full candy cane in its place. When Baloo fails to follow through with this idea, Molly questions not only the Peppermint Fairy, but Santa Claus. Sensing the pending loss of childhood wonder, Baloo promises to take the letter Molly wrote to Santa to the North Pole himself, and that Molly can come with. Not realizing the letter is asking for the impossible, Baloo convinces local jive-talking bartender Louie to dress up like Santa. Louie and Baloo realize to their horror that Molly wants snow and are quick to devise a plan to make it happen, without Molly realizing she's been lied to. As Baloo is trying to grant Molly's Christmas wish, he runs into Don Carnage and his band of sky pirates, leading to an exciting action sequence. Baloo's plan fails when Molly discovers Santa is just Louie in a fake beard and runs away. But soon enough, just when the last of Baloo's schemes fail, a little Christmas magic comes along to restore Molly's beliefs. TaleSpin as a whole excels in terms of writing, character development, animation, and even action, and this episode is no exception. However, with all the action and any shot that doesn't take place in Louie's bar decorated like the North Pole, it's lacking in the overall Christmas feel, but certainly not lacking on high-flying adventure. Next we get to pay another visit to the terror that flaps in the night, Darkwing Duck, and his Christmas episode, It's a Wonderful Leaf, which aired on November 4th, 1991. It's Christmas Eve in St. Canard, and we open on some beautiful backgrounds and animated snowflakes. Then we meet our villain, half duck, half plant mutant, Bushroot, who's at the mall Christmas shopping. To avoid the crazy last-minute shoppers wreaking havoc in the mall, Bushroot walks into a garden shop. But even there he can't avoid the crowds, and when they get violent towards him, Bushroot plans to ruin Christmas for everyone in St. Canard. His big plan is to make all the Christmas trees come to life and rise up against their oppressors, which means seeking revenge on all those who attacked him in the garden shop earlier. While all this is happening, Darkwing's alter ego, Drake Mallard, and his faithful sidekick, Launchpad, are at the same mall doing their own last-minute shopping. When he sees all the commotion caused by Bushroot, Drake, now Darkwing, chastises him, which makes Bushroot turn his trees on Darkwing and Launchpad before escaping. Evading Darkwing and Launchpad allows Bushroot to exercise the next part of his plan: bring the Christmas trees already in people's houses to life and steal all their presents. Now it's up to Darkwing and Launchpad to catch this Grinch and bring him to justice. Darkwing Duck is one of Disney Afternoon's best, and along with DuckTales had the most gorgeous backgrounds, as well as most creative and memorable characters. This particular episode depicts the season very well with vibrant colors and expertly timed humor. A perfect Christmas episode that'll have you saying, "This Christmas, let's get dangerous." We get a little bit confusing here as the Christmas episode of Goof Troop, Have Yourself a Goofy Little Christmas, aired separately from the show as part of an hour-long special on December 5th, 1992. Yes, we even get one of those corny but super nostalgic intros from then Disney CEO Michael Eisner.
You know, I can't wait any longer for Goofy. I mean, we have to get on with the show.
Hey, check it out! There he is, Michael! Merry
Christmas, everyone!
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I know there were some problems later, but I really miss when he was the face of the Disney company. The special opens as Pete gets fed up with all of the carnage created as his neighbor Goofy is decorating for Christmas. So he plans a sudden family trip to Aspen, Colorado. Goofy's son Max sees this as an opportunity to get away from his father's overzealous Christmas traditions and tries to convince his best friend, Pete's son PJ, to let him come along, which Pete immediately refuses. Max is left with no choice but to convince his father that they too should take a trip to Aspen this year. But it seems slapstick comedy and catastrophe will find Goofy anywhere and everywhere he goes, even in the mundane task of checking into a cabin, where he runs into a bear that he scares off with a mop. I think that mop was loaded. After all the excitement, Goofy unpacks the Christmas decorations from his car and starts setting them up, which awakens Pete in a nearby cabin. Much to Pete's dismay, this means he'll be spending his quiet Christmas family vacation in Colorado with the accident-prone Goofy. While shenanigans abound, both families, and even that bear, still learn that Christmas is about togetherness, even if they do so by seeking refuge from a blizzard in a cave. There is a nice little in-joke of Pete's daughter Pistol saying the line,
Like, don't have a cowbell, man.
This is an obvious reference to Bart Simpson's famous line, "Don't have a cow, man." As it just so happens, Pistol is voiced by voice acting legend Nancy Cartwright, most famous for being, you guessed it, Bart Simpson. The special does well in giving you that warm, fuzzy Christmas feeling, but I think the colors could have been a bit more vibrant. For a Goofy cartoon, the slapstick seems a bit restrained as well. But along the way, we get classic public domain Christmas songs like Deck the Halls, We Wish You a Merry Christmas, Silent Night, and we even get a brand new Christmas song, Reindeer Rumba.
No, Dad, not the reindeer dance.
First your antlers start to itch, and the music moves your feet. Then your hips begin to twitch.
Now we get to celebrate Christmas with Bonkers in the episode Miracle at the 34th Precinct, which aired on November 27th, 1993. On a test flight of his new sleigh 2 days before Christmas, Santa is thrown out of his sleigh over Hollywood, California, and into Bonkers' friend Fall Apart Rabbit's house, causing full-blown amnesia in the process. Meanwhile, two of Santa's elves, Jingle and Belle, have filed a missing persons report, and Bonkers and Lucky are put on the case. The elves notice that Lucky, despite not being a particularly jolly person, would make a good substitute for Santa until they can find their real boss and convince Lucky to take on the role. While Lucky is training for his new gig, Bonkers continues his search for Santa, even questioning Fall Apart Rabbit, who, not realizing he's been spending time with Santa this whole time, says he hasn't seen him. But when Fall Apart Rabbit's new friend gets launched into Fall Apart Rabbit's roof by the talking sofa, it helps him regain his memory. That was a sentence I just said. Despite not making a lick of sense, which can be said of the show as a whole, Santa is back to his old self, and for Bonkers, Fall Apart Rabbit, Lucky, his family, and everyone else, Christmas is saved. Bonkers was not a show I watched. I was 11 at the time and was probably watching something on Nickelodeon when this was on. Every time I've caught an episode since, it's like a fever dream.
Oh, Jim! Jim, are you okay, Jim? Jim, oh, you're upside down.
Oh, thank goodness. For a moment, I thought you had talking feet.
He does.
I love wacky animation. In fact, my favorite era for cartoons is the 1930s. But Bonkers is aptly named. This show is unhinged. Crashing our little Christmas party here is Schnookums and Meat, with their episode Jingle Bells, Something Smells, which aired on March 20th, 1995. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. There are also times when it can be such a blatant ripoff that it's painful for the audience. Case in point, that time in 1952 when Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo didn't think anyone would mind them stealing Martin Lewis's act.
Okay, banga banga.
Since when do you talk a native language?
I just started today.
Well, what do you say?
What do you say? I don't even know what I said.
Then there's the Schnookums and Meat funny cartoon show. Created and written by the voice of Eek the Cat himself, Bill Kopp, Schnookums and Meat was actually a spin-off from Marsupilami, and each episode was comprised of 3 segments: Schnookums and Meat, Pith Possum, and Tex Tinstar. So why am I calling it a ripoff? Well, yeah, Ren and Stimpy. I mean, just wow. Disney did at least try to be legitimate here, as they tried to hire Carbuncle Cartoons, who had worked with Ren and Stimpy studio Spumco, but Carbuncle Cartoons turned them down flat, as Spumco paid a lot better than Disney. Well, if you can't hire them, copy their work, I guess? Of the 3 segments, only Schnookums and Meat had a Christmas episode, so this is Jingle Bells, Something Smells. God, even the titles sound like second-rate Ren and Stimpy cartoons. The episode opens with the boys getting ready for Santa Claus by hanging their stockings by the chimney. Meat, voiced by Fred from Scooby-Doo, Frank Welker, hangs a smelly sock, which knocks Santa out, and now he and Schnookums, voiced by Max Goof from a Goofy movie, Jason Marsden, must drive his sleigh in his place. Along the way, we meet elves doing a Goodfellas parody, and humor you really wouldn't expect from Disney. Like Santa barfing down a chimney. The show seems to capture the gross-out humor of Ren and Stimpy, and even some of its imitators like Rocko's Modern Life, but forgets to counteract those moments with heart. Schnookums and Meat is not going to find itself on your must-watch during the Christmas season list, but it exists. Generally, TV adaptations of popular movies try to capture the movie world on a small scale, but I have to give Timon and Pumbaa credit for wanting to try something new with these characters, which didn't always work very well, like it did with Tailspin and the Jungle Book characters. Timon and Pumbaa was another series that I didn't get to in my Disney Afternoon Halloween video. There was an episode where Timon and Pumbaa decided to go hunt ghosts, which would have been perfect, but I missed it in my research. Also, admittedly, I never watched Timon and Pumbaa. Considering it aired between September 8th, 1995 to September 24th, 1999, it was a touch past my time. Timon and Pumbaa came at the end of the Disney Afternoon's run, and thus ended its 3-season run on the Disney Channel spin-off Toon Disney. But they did have a Christmas episode, so let's talk about it. Each episode consisted of 2 10-minute cartoons back-to-back. The Christmas one comes to us from the first segment of the 74th episode, Don't Be Elfish, which was paired with the non-Christmas related Lights, Camera, Traction, which aired on July 9th, 1999. Timon and Pumbaa are Christmas shopping at the mall when they see the brand new video game system, the Vincenzo 64. It should be said that if you're trying to find continuity between The Lion King and this show, you will be absolutely lost. But then president of Walt Disney Television Animation, Gary Crisell, saw the success of Timon and Pumbaa as the comic reliefs in The Lion King and felt he had the best comic duo in decades. Producer Bob Ganaway and Tony Craig agreed and opted for a more Tex Avery style animation, putting the duo in a variety of situations and settings as opposed to keeping them solely in the Serengeti. It could be anything it wanted. They even used a Which Animals Live Where Atlas reference book to get the various characters right for the various settings from episode to episode. But of course, in this episode, we're in one of the scariest places to be, an American mall during the Christmas season. Realizing the game system is selling for a ridiculous amount of money, they decide to volunteer as a mall Santa and as helper, in hopes that the real Santa would see how good they are and give them the video game system for Christmas. Makes sense to me. Timon soon becomes mad with power as Santa's helper when he realizes he can get the kids in line to do anything for him by threatening to tell Santa that they've been naughty. This doesn't sit well with one of the real Santa's elves, who threatens to put Timon on the naughty list if he doesn't start acting nice. So Timon starts doing a bunch of good deeds around the mall in order to get back in the good graces of Santa Claus. Coming from the standpoint of someone who was too old for the show in its initial run and didn't really have much of a connection to the Lion King in the first place, Timon and Pumbaa is a completely serviceable show. And the Looney Tune humor works surprisingly well. As for a Christmas episode, the idea of setting them in a mall during Christmas does allow for a lot of humor. Even if the idea of mall shopping is becoming increasingly dated, there's still plenty of creativity. What more can you say, but... Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my look back at the Christmas episodes from the Disney Afternoon. If you'd like to be kept up to date as to when I release a new video, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and if you really want to be notified, hit that bell as well. I'm Brian, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time on Vintage Disney.